Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. Tonight is April 18th, 2012, one night before the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. Now, I wanted to spend the 2 hours tonight going over the Oklahoma City bombing, and I could have sat here and just blabbed to you guys, perhaps maybe played an audio clip here or there from a film or two. But rather than do that, I decided to do something a little better. And tonight, I was able to get two of my friends, two men you've heard before on the show, two filmmakers, two members of the team, I should say, that created this film, A Noble Lie. I want to welcome back to the show James Lane and Holland Vandennieuwenhof. Welcome back.
Popeye, thank you for having us on. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I was excited actually back on your show, Popeye. You were in a great outfit here.
Yeah, we had a great time last time. I mean, we covered a lot of information that we're not normally able to cover on other shows, man. You really covered the spectrum.
Well, feel free to be, open and speak your mind about whatever you want. You know, if there's something that you guys didn't get a chance to speak about on any of your interviews today, because, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, these guys are like supermen. They've been doing interviews all day because tomorrow is obviously the anniversary of the bombing, and your film is pretty much the quintessential film out there now about what happened. I have a lot of new listeners now, so let's get right into it a little bit. Either one of you two guys could decide which one of you wants to start, but go ahead and give the listeners a little bit of information about the bombing and what you've uncovered so far and why your film is so important.
For those of you interested, of course, you can go to anoblelie.com. But I guess I should start out with the official story because a lot of younger people may not be especially familiar with the story, especially if they didn't live through it and see it on the news. 17 years ago tomorrow, April 19th, 1995, the federal building in Oklahoma City was bombed. It was blamed upon Timothy McVeigh, a person who drove a Ryder truck in front of the Murrah building and left it there to explode as revenge for Waco, which had ended in a catastrophic fire 2 years to the day before the bombing. The extent of the conspiracy, according to the federal government, was Tim McVeigh, another Army buddy of his named Terry Nichols, who helped him construct the bomb in Kansas, and only one other person in the universe knew of this plot, another Army buddy named Michael Fortier, who served a 10-year sentence and disappeared in the Witness Protection Program. Terry Nichols is in jail for the rest of his life, and Tim McVeigh was executed on June 6th of 2001.
Well, and, several years ago, we founded We Are Change Oklahoma, and a mutual friend introduced me to Holland Vandennieuwenhof and Chris Emery. And I realized that I had in the midst of our organization probably the world's foremost experts on the Oklahoma City bombing. I mean, these guys are walking encyclopedias. In combination with Wendy Painting and her research in her doctoral thesis on the Oklahoma City bombing, we really had all the elements that we needed to put a cohesive story together, encapsulated in one 2-hour format that we could take to people and show them, even the uninitiated. This is a methodology that we have experienced in our street activism, where, those one-on-one conversations, which ones produce the best results. And I think that Manny Badillo had probably one of the most effective methodologies where you bring the victim's family members in and you gain the emotional credibility. Then you bring in the technical experts and you get the technical credibility. And at that point, nobody can really go against you without some sort of emotional response. And we've shown this documentary to many skeptics that said that they showed up expecting a conspiracy movie, and when they walk away, they say that was an expose. We don't lead anybody to conclusions. We only present documented evidence and eyewitness testimony, and we lead we allow the viewer to use their own intelligence to discern for themselves what is truthful and what is not. And this has been a very effective methodology in bringing the uninitiated into the methodology of the falsified terror attack.
And you guys have had some good feedback from the movie. Like, people are, obviously the movie's waking people up. I know it has, but like, on your end, have you had people, emailing you and saying, "Oh my God, this opened my eyes"?
Well, the Oklahoma City bombing that case is such a demonstrable case of the official story being utterly false from top to bottom and so easy to disprove. And when you realize the magnitude of that lie, when people realize for a fact that their government is capable of committing this kind of cover-up on this kind of atrocity, contrary to every kind of program we've been given our entire life, people can realize that this kind of government can lie, cheat, and steal about anything. So it is a wake-up tool, and it's also a way to rob the ruling class of their, or whatever you want to call them, of their false flag terror tool, exposing it and exposing its machinations. So if they try it again, people will wake up immediately. You have to remember that the Oklahoma City bombing happened in 1995 in the infancy of the internet, and certainly the dissemination of information wasn't not even a percentile of what it is today. If they tried something as sloppy as Oklahoma City again right now, I think it would blow up in their face immediately. Hopefully, we are learning faster than they can learn to cover things up.
Well, and we took what would have been a 10-hour documentary and boiled it down to the most provable essence, and that's what got it down to 2 hours. And I think that when we look at people like Kurt Haskell, who saw the underwear bomber, who had questions about the official story of 9/11 and said that he was determined not to allow a cover-up to happen in that event, we see how exposing the methodology of state terror actually saves lives. And I think that we are actually taking the tool of the false flag terror attack out of the toolbox of the global oligarchy. And this is truly saving lives. That's why when you go to ennoblelie.com, you get the documentary. You can show this to your friends and family, and it's presented in such a way that the uninitiated, it's palatable to them, and they're able to watch it and, again, discern for themselves what's factual.
I got to say, before I had seen your movie, the only other movie I'd seen, there was a YouTube link I remember you had sent me a long time ago, James, that I had watched. You guys might have even put it together, or somebody in We Are Change Oklahoma might have put it together. It was a movie about, it was kind of like, you could tell it wasn't, super professionally, funded or anything like that. But it brought a lot of evidence about a lot of the stuff that I had never seen before. And besides that, I'd only seen that other one. What is it called? Murder in the Heartland. So there's really no other good films out there. I mean, Murder in the Heartland's great, but you guys knocked it out of the freaking park.
Well, that was Pat Shannon, and that was done during the 90s. And you also had State Representative Charles Key, who did What Really Happened in regards to the Oklahoma City bombing, again, in the 90s. There hasn't been anything done in this century that actually encapsulated the entire story in a way that was understandable and be able to see the big picture, And that was our goal here, was to spur new investigation. There are so many people that investigate the incident of 9/11, but there's no real investigation about the Oklahoma City bombing beyond what, this small group of people have done. We wanted to present this to the world and spur people to do their own research and actually, bring new information to light. We hope to encourage folks with what we have done here and actually, get them involved in this cover-up, because it is so easy to expose. It's so easy to poke holes through the official story, much more so than any other false flag that I've ever seen. And I think it's a shame that there's not more information out there about it. That's why we had to do this.
It is an amazing film. I'm going to cut you guys off right there. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. 3 minutes. We'll be right back. Break time is fast. You know how my show goes. Blink of an eye. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
What you did that day, kill your own citizens to advance your ways. All my real patriots stand up and say 9/11.
The Oklahoma City bombing was an inside job. I hate that term inside job, though, because it's so it just sounds prepackaged, like it's you stamp it out and send it out for shipping.
It's not neutral anymore. It's taken on a life of its own.
Well, and when we were in New York 2 years ago, Michael Walters had actually done the T-shirts for We Are Change for the street action, and it just said "Defend the Republic." And I had many people, New Yorkers, just come up to me and said, "That's the best T-shirt you guys ever had." The inside job idea, I think, while it is palatable to those of us that understand the bigger picture, the people that don't understand it, it's offensive to them. And just something as simple as "Defend the Republic" was very well received.
I agree, and I catch myself I have a bumper sticker that says 9/11 was an inside job. I like to, whatever. It's been on my.
You like to get pulled over?
Yeah, right. I've always had usually positive. The only interaction I ever had was positive from truckers, people driving by, honking, giving me a thumbs up. Until
Yeah, actually,
I had a lady drive up to me And because I have my military tags down here in Florida, you can get different military tags. So I have my old service tags on the back of my vehicle. And she pulls up and she sees the sticker, and she proceeds to yell at me on the highway how I should be ashamed of myself because of who I am, that I have that bumper sticker. So I gave her instead of yelling back at her, I really pissed her off. I just looked at her, smiled, and gave her the Miss America wave. Dude, she freaked out. It was great. But yeah, that's the only negative attention I've ever had from it.
Well, and that's one thing that we see in the street actions. I think a lot of the new people that show up expect to have confrontations. And I have to say that the vast majority, maybe as much as 98, 99% of the people that we talk to at the Oklahoma City Bombing Memorial are very open to discussing the questions because, most people in Oklahoma have questions about what happened. It's been very rare that we ever encounter anybody that's negative, and it's really light. And to that point, tomorrow at 8 a.m. at the Oklahoma City Bombing Memorial here in Oklahoma City, we will be doing a major street action with We Are Change Oklahoma. We're going to be handing out 500 free copies of the documentary A Noble Lie to all of the people that are present at the memorial ceremony, getting the earful of the official story. We're going to be there, giving the truth to the people that have been lied to for so long. And, anybody that is within driving range, everybody is welcome. You can come out and you can talk to people, or you can not. Just simply hand out DVDs, or you can get on those one-on-one conversations and change minds, whatever you're comfortable with, but everybody is welcome.
So you guys are actually handing out copies. What did you say, 500 copies of the movie?
500 copies of the movie.
That's amazing.
Pocket. Yes, we're just, to us, that was our whole goal in this movie.
That's a lot of copies, by the way, just in case anybody is not sure, for like a street action. That's a lot.
Well, obviously we wanted to break even. Most of this documentary was produced out of our own pocket, and we've done it at this point, and we just want to kind of give back. It's about getting the message out to the people and countering the official narrative. We see the institutionalization of the lie here in Oklahoma, while the same year that the legislation was trying to be passed to teach the Constitution and the compulsory schooling in Oklahoma, it was struck down. They passed the legislation that said the official story of Oklahoma bombing would be taught in the public schools. And when I was in New York last year, I had my We Are Change Oklahoma shirt on, and I had a guy come up. He's like, "Oh, Oklahoma." He goes, "I'm from the Bombing Memorial." "Really? What are you doing here?" And he says, "Well, I'm here to teach these guys how to do what we're doing in Oklahoma City." And we see the same legislation passed in New York City to teach the official story of 9/11 to the compulsory schooling there. It's about the institutionalization of the lie, and it's up to us to counter that. If we're not, nobody else will.